absolutely.
So, hi, my name is Lauren Meese. I am an Olympian from the 2000 Sydney Olympics. I competed in judo in the 48 kilogram category. Today, I have another superstar with me. Eve, please introduce yourself. Wait, let me preface this with this. I came up with this idea to start kind of documenting all of the historical information pertaining to female judokas, like beginning specifically in the United States, just because I listened to a YouTube podcast thing between Jason Morris and Steve Cohen, and they brought your name up, and they're like, Eve wanted to make sure that we mentioned,
Yes,
with the
yes.
females, and I was like, why are we relying on the men to do this for us? This is so silly. So,
Good
but
point.
please, by all means, can you provide a brief introduction to who you are, your accomplishments on and off the mat?
Yes, yes. Hello, my name is Eve Aronoff-Trivella. Um, I'll try to be quick on this. I started judo in 1972. I actually saw a commercial as a little girl, believe it or not, with judo in it. It was martial arts, and they showed judo. Fell in love with the man, of course. They didn't show women, but a man that was very male dominated. Um, Doing a beautiful judo throw on a guy. I looked at it. I was the reason I was sitting there watching TV. I was never much of a television person as a child. I still am not. I wasn't able to walk at 6 years old. I had rheumatic fever. It was from strep that went into rheumatic fever. I couldn't walk for a couple of years in front of the TV because I didn't know how to do the homework. I didn't no tutors around, and I wanted to throw somebody across the room like that. I thought it would be really cool. Couldn't walk. Maybe that's why I was more motivated to do something that I was unrealistic. But saw it, said, "Wow, really cool. Love to learn that." A few years later, with steroids and time, I got better, was able to start walking, and I kept asking my mother, please take me to judo somewhere. And we had a local judo school. It was a local martial arts school that had judo. She finally took me. Doctor said it would be good therapy, good physical therapy for me because I was weak. Got a little pudgy from the steroids and not being able to walk. I had good triceps though, because I used to drag myself backwards. So the triceps were already there. And the rest is history. That's how I started. I fell in love 1972 and continued it my whole life. I am a member of the historical 1988 USA Women's Olympic Judo team. Thank you. I was in 3 world championships. The first one that I was in was in 1982. I took a bronze medal there. At 19 years old, I believe I'm still the youngest in American judo history to take a senior world championship medal. I competed, I medaled in 14 national championships, medaled in many international tournaments, which today would be considered the world circuit. For us, we were on the US team. There wasn't as much that was so official, but they were having a lot of world tournaments. I took medals in many of them. To name a few, some of the countries were Russia, Austria, the Netherlands, Japan, Poland, Cuba. I would say the Japanese tournament was just as difficult as World Championships and Olympics. Again, some of these were first time competitions for the women, which we were starting to make some progress, which was a wonderful thing. I've been coaching and teaching judo at all levels for decades. As a child, I became very interested in fitness. I used to do a lot of cross training for judo to make my judo better. Because as a little girl, I started, we only had practice a few times a week. So the other days, I got very much into fitness, again, for cross training for judo. So I started as a teenager a very part-time business, one-on-one fitness judo. I started a company, again, very part-time, worked in a health club very part-time. I'm the founder, creator, CEO. I'm a one-woman show of Eve's Ultimate Body Training. It's changed a lot through the decades. It's become concierge fitness, basically on call for video workouts. It's gone through many phases the last 40 years. I've also branched off to other things that incorporates judo. I have falling for seniors, falling for athletes. I created, it's learning judo break falls it's good for everyone, every age. It saves lives. I created a special little program for senior citizens that help them with balance, flexibility, and strength in order to try to prevent the fall. And then if they do fall, I created modified judo break falls because unmodified, if you want to call it that, can be a little difficult to do judo break falls, especially for older people that are first starting out. So they're very modified on their bed where they won't get hurt. And I have a lot of clients that I've incorporated it into their workouts. Most of my workouts are one-on-one, and it helped them. Several of them have taken falls, and it really has helped them. I know it's helped me. That's for sure.
I'm really curious about that because I saw like they're doing that in Sweden and in the UK. And my father-in-law has some difficulty like with his balance. And I was teaching him ukemi the other day.
Yes, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
Do it on the bed with him. So this way it's safe. It's so he won't get bruised up just from practicing it.
I have my garage set up with tatami, so
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes because I mean, you obviously are a really accomplished human being. I spoke to Jean yesterday, and the main goal here is to really just kind of paint a picture as far as like, so, the questions that I sent you, one of them was, do you believe there's a level of importance in documenting the history of women within the sport? And then to please elaborate, if you have any like value that today's female judoka can look at and kind of provide inspiration and foundation for. Because one of the things that Jean said is there's so many women that these now up and coming female judokas don't realize like where they are is resting on your shoulders, on Rusty's shoulders, on Jean's shoulders. So if you could just kind of like, focus on the level of importance of documenting this history and then provide like a story about how you see the history of women's judo in the United States.
I think it's so important because I have to say that I've been through the years. I've been on and off committees for judo, and I've been in and out, touching things a little bit here and there. There was a period where I was more out than in, and then when I came back, I felt like all these young women didn't know anything about Rusty, didn't even like the 1988 women's Olympic team. We were the first ones. We were kind of thrown under the rug. So there you go. Things that weren't documented or are not documented properly just kind of gets pushed to the side, thrown under the rug, because 1992 was so-called the official first team. But was it really? No, it really wasn't, because, again, we got pushed under the rug because it was, again, called demonstration, which 1964 for men was called demonstration as well, but yet they acknowledge them. And the young girls need to understand it. Yeah, they acknowledge the team, as they should. We got our first bronze medal, our first medal from Sensei Jim Bregman. That's a very important thing. It's important for the young people to know, male and female. So this is, it's kind of disappointing when we don't know all these things. So the young girls should know, how did you get here? Who did this? Where did we come from? Our struggles, our, the difficulties, just the different things that we went through, because we go, we go way, way back. I mean, even starting with some of the women that are a little older than me that actually didn't have an official U.S. team but they competed a little bit. Like one of the first world competitions was the British Open. Some of the women that are a little older than me went to that. That was the only thing that was available for the women in another country. Those women should be acknowledged too, because they were even before me, and then as time went on, I was very lucky to be a part of all these firsts. And we were like really the originals of the world circuit. It's just we weren't called that, but we went because of Rusty. She got, at first we weren't funded, and our parents had to spend the money in the beginning, and then with Rusty fighting, she got us funded like the men, not always as equal. Maybe it was partial, but then eventually it was the whole thing. She did it all. She got us to be equal to the men's team. I mean, they would come out, we'd all be sitting waiting to compete, or in between our break, and U.S. Judo weren't funding us, say at whatever particular, say 1980 Pacific Rims in Hawaii. And we'd be on a break. We were just sitting there. We all paid. Our parents had to pay for this trip. And then the men come out with these great boxed lunches, but anything was good to us because we weren't getting anything that USA Judo, supported them with. And we just kind of sat there like the stepchildren, as usual. So the young girls need to know this, and they need to know us better. So this way they have role models, or maybe they can text me or one of the other, women that was on the team with me, text us or call us and ask us a question, just because it was considered a long time ago compared to now, but there are things that we could contribute. Just things to inspire them, and that's why it's so important for them to know. I mean, we, as women, first off, in my time, we did really well. I mean, all of us came home with medals all of the time. We were definitely within the top. At least, again, it's not our record. It's not really documented, but I can tell you that we were definitely easily one of the top as a team, 5 in the world, maybe even better.
Maybe I was looking at those stats. When I was trying to find people to interview, I was looking at those stats and I was like, part of my French, I was like, holy shit, like this is incredible,
Yes.
If I had access to you guys when I was training, because, in the 90s, I had more access to like the prior Olympic team. And there wasn't really a push to kind of draw us to the ladder, the 92, and then, the 88. So I remember looking at people like Lilico, and that's it. That's all we have, in my mind. But then Salida and Marissa Padula. But long story short, I feel as though if I had those stats in front of me, I would have been a little bit more motivated, as far as not going like, oh, we're from America. Everybody else, they're way better than us and they have better access to
training. Right. It would give you the confidence to say, hey, you know what? These women did this. I can do this too. Oops, sorry about that. Yeah, no, it's definitely, it's definitely a motivating thing to have, women to look to know that, they did it. You're no different than us. We're all the same. You could do this too. So it's, judo is, when you learn judo, as we all know, history is so important. I mean, we get tested on that, where judo is from, what country, what year, 1882, who, Jigoro Kano. We learn about all this leading up to, we should be leading up to today, but then we just miss this large portion of women's judo in this country. In other countries, I see them being more proactive with it. But somewhere along the line, we're doing something wrong here, when it comes to that. And that's why I thank you for this, because, you're being proactive and trying to do something about that. And you're going back further, which is wonderful. Do it now while we're still alive.
Yeah.
While we can still talk to you. We're still a pretty good age, where we still, we have our minds that are still sharp and our thoughts, and so take advantage now. So yeah, history is so very important. And look at what the women have achieved here in this country. Our very first world champion for the United States was Anne Maria, a woman, a female. Our first gold medalist, Kayla, in the Olympics, and we've accomplished so much, and we need to dig deeper and get all this undocumented history, as you are doing right now.
I want to have a separate interview with you in reference to what it felt like, because I mean, when you walk into the opening ceremonies, it's mind blowing. But I can't imagine being like the first pioneers in '88. Like, holy shit, we did it! Like, we did it, and we're here, and we got women's judo in the Olympics. This is amazing. I had the luxury, or not the luxury, but the privilege
I
of
just got the chills.
yeah, no, Rusty, like, I think back to everything that she did, and Jean was talking about how, because she was your coach, I believe, correct?
Yes.
And so when she was able to walk into the opening ceremonies as well, it was like such a high reward for her internally that all her hard work had paid off.
Absolutely. And being able to walk in with her,
Mm-hmm.
was just an amazing thing. And I want to make it clear as well, on this, because of the fact that demonstration sport and all the confusion with all that and being thrown under the rug a little bit. We did everything that the official, so to speak, official sports did. We got medals. We took the same medals. If you got a medal, it was the same medal. There was nothing different. We all went to, where was it? We went to LA with the whole US team, every sport. We went to LA for our clothing and the Disney extravaganza and the whole thing. There was nothing there that was different. Everything was the same. And it was such an exciting thing to experience that with Rusty. And it was also really, really exciting to be, not only to be the first to enter that stadium as a female judoka. That, of course, is, without saying, is an amazing thing. And I love my country. So to walk in and represent my country is just the ultimate. But we had a big responsibility, because it was going to be our performance that was going to keep women's judo in the Olympics or not.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
It was a really, really big responsibility. And there were only 8 of us in each weight division. It was the 8 top women in the world that were competing. So that
higher standards in the current.
There's no warm-up match there.
Yeah.
Not that in the Olympics is really much of a warm-up match, but with the 8 top women in the world in each weight division, there really isn't a warm-up match. So there was a lot at stake here, as there always is. But we just felt like we're making history, and if we're going to keep women's judo in the Olympics, we better do a damn good job, so the rest of these young girls have dreams, fulfilled like us.
Well, thank you, because if it weren't for people like you and Rusty, I wouldn't have been able to have one of the most memorable experiences of my life.
You are very welcome.
So you touched upon a couple of the disparities that your generation encountered. Are there any other disparities that you noticed, and what positive changes have you actually seen over the decades, as far as like what do you still believe is still unresolved, but what's also positive? Because we don't really want to dwell on the negative too much.
Yeah, I think finances is just a big thing. Finances, it's unrealistic for us to think that we're going to be able to keep up with the rest of the world
Yeah.
in judo unless we get we need to be more organized, and we need more financial support. So because there are still some young people that still have to, get a job, get a part-time job, and try to juggle, working and training. And, whereas still all these other athletes are practicing judo full time. We need more support. Maybe, in the universities, it would be wonderful. I was so jealous as a young woman. All of my friends who were on their national teams would be going to their universities and getting a degree in judo. So they would basically be there. I don't really know what they were doing in the classroom. Probably not much, because you get your degree in judo, you get to go on the mat all day and practice, which is what we need. If you're on your national team, that's what you need to do, and then you're able to get a degree from it and do something with it for your future. That's what we need. We need a better future, for after judo. We need more opportunities for after judo. I think the worldwide, these other countries have more opportunities for judo, because judo is more popular in most other countries. And I think that's another thing, is that we need to have more judo schools, more judo clubs, more dojos that have recreational judo. We need to push that more to get more participants.
Yeah, I teach
like they do in
recreation.
France,
Yeah.
for fitness, judo for fitness. Get more participants, and that'll help as well.
Yeah, I only focus on recreational. I try to avoid competitive judo altogether, just because that foundation, you need to have fans for the athletes. I mean, and if you
Yeah,
don't have fans, it's kind of like, what are you coming back to? I will say, on a positive note, as far as the females are concerned, I have seen the most seminars in my life organized or sorry, run by females. And what I mean by that is, like, I have an affiliation with a program called the Master's Program. It's in Virginia by a gentleman named Chris Round. And he is a big advocate for gender equality. And he is consistently bringing in female athletes to run clinics and
that's
seminars.
amazing.
And that wasn't the
Amazing.
case, during my time. And I'm sure it definitely wasn't the case during your time. Everybody wanted to hear from the men. Um,
Yes,
so
yes.
I do definitely see this trend going in a really positive direction, where there is more accessibility to the females as much as the men, and at times, if not more. So that's a super, super positive thing that I see that's changed over the years.
Yes, yes, it
We can
has
only go up from
changed.
here. Yeah.
Yes, through the years, it has changed. We just have so much more equality now, and it's a pleasure to see that.
Yeah.
It really is. It's a pleasure to see that. It makes you feel like, okay, all that hard work and the struggles that we had, it definitely made it worth it.
Hmm.
Definitely
Yeah.
made it all.
Well, I can't thank you enough about it.
Oh,
uh, we have
well,
to
this is
take a little bit more of a serious note. And again, this is
yeah,
a question that I'm asking, but there's a generalization. So this happens in all different sectors of cultures and life, right? So, like, I was raised Catholic, and we all kind of know what kind of reputation they have, but this is just an element of humanity. So I don't want to paint a negative picture towards the judo community when it comes to this question. However, how did sexual abuse or harassment in the sport affect you, if at all?
yeah. It certainly went on, especially in my day, because we really didn't have the rights that women have today. Now you can speak up and something will be done about it. Whereas, when I was a little girl growing up, nobody, if anything happened as a little girl, if I said, oh, this person did this or this person touched me wrong, you just, number one, you just didn't say it. It wasn't something that you were taught to speak up about the way it is today, which is wonderful. And our laws have changed, so at least when you do speak up, something will be done. So this is these are things that just didn't exist when I was growing up, which I'm so glad to see the changes. And yeah, and of course, not just in judo, in life, other sports, other female athletes have experienced it in many other sports. Unfortunately, still going on, but at least things are getting better. And yes, on the judo mat, a coach with a little, too many pats on the butt, tell them no, and they don't listen. I had things happen where, I was in, when I first started judo, I was in the children's class and the adults class. It was all men. And, that particular coach had one of the men hold me down. And while he was holding me down, I was trying to get out, which was impossible. I was a little girl. He was in his 20s, 3 times my size. And I would just get hit by the bamboo stick while I was trying to escape to make get out of that. But, just things like that. Massage therapist massaging me at 15 years old and, started touching me in the wrong places.
Yeah.
I got up and I left the room. Did I say anything? No, because nothing would be done.
It was like, what's the point kind of thing?
Yeah, you know what? It was really just a thing that nobody would speak about it. You weren't educated on, speaking up. And I knew I didn't like it. I knew it was wrong. So I got up and I left the room. Yeah. I did do Osotogari on him before I left the room.
Good for you.
So I did send them flying first, and then I left the room, and that was the end of that. I'm just glad to see the changes today.
Yeah, I was going to say safe sport has, I think, really altered.
Yes, it's amazing.
The dynamic of the environment, but it's funny to hear you guys say that because you stood up for yourself in your own way. And then as things went along, I know for us in the late 90s, we just were potty mouth females. And if we saw something that was creepy, like I mentioned, Kayla Harrison's coach.
Yes.
And if we saw him doing anything creepy, we would openly say and again, part of my friends would be like, what the fuck is your problem, weirdo? Stop. Don't you think you're going a little overboard with that? We would have the chutzpah, the ability to kind of go
yes,
stop, you're being creepy. But we didn't read into it past that because we thought if we were pointing it out that, somebody wouldn't have the courage to do that. But a lot of times I know that for myself, I wouldn't say anything. I had a situation with somebody who was a high level individual in the sport that could kind of determine my funding and things like that. And he invited all the gold medal winners of nationals that year to come to his hotel room, as a celebration. And come to find out, it was just me and my teammate. And I was 16 at the time.
Wow.
And nobody else was showing up. We're like, what the heck's going on here? And lucky for me, she was there because they're like, hey, sit back, relax. And he put porn on the television. And I was like, I'm 16. Should I be watching this shit with you right now?
Yeah. It's just, it's just such an unfortunate thing. And so much of it goes on with everything. And you just, you wonder wow, they just, excuse me for saying it, but they have balls, I mean, they have big balls and they, and it happens. You would think, they want to be careful. People want to be, they don't want to get, but they just do it.
Planning that goes into it. That's kind of concerning for me.
Yes.
I had a Canadian athlete. And again, I was 16 traveling with grown ass adults. And he's like, all of our teammates are coming to the hotel room. We have a trainer. He's giving everybody massages. And I was like, yeah, I'm in a lot of pain and we don't have a trainer. And I was like, why am I the only one invited? They must really like me. I had some social ineptitudes, and my two teammates, one male teammate, one female teammate that kind of were my big brother's big sister.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel right, you better get the hell out of there.
Get
so
out.
I went in, nobody's showing up. He's like, I'll start the massage. He started massaging me. He's like, you need to take off your bra. I was like, so where is everybody else? And I remember just hearing my teammates in my ears and going, get out, get out, get out, get out now. And I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta go. And I just grabbed my stuff and left. But I didn't even say anything to my teammates because I was embarrassed for being so foolish, you know? Um,
Yeah, never feel foolish. Never
right.
feel foolish. Well, because this is the thing is that, we have these, trainers and massage therapists or whatever. So it's like, you know, you, you can't, it's difficult. You can't
Mhm.
always determine what's going to be okay and what isn't going to be okay, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
So I encourage all of the young girls to never feel like you're foolish. Always say something.
Mhm.
Always say something.
Agreed.
Even if you're not sure, like let someone know, and then you could take it from there.
Because the
you know we,
transparency is important because there are going to be people who are like a little more socially inept or a little bit more innocent
yeah,
and maybe more
yes,
sheltered. And then
absolutely,
that
absolutely.
line is going to get crossed and there's going to be, some issues. But again, we have that
Yeah,
like judo spirit and we grow and we learn. And I'm really happy about how things have progressed over the years. They
definitely.
definitely can't remain in hiding. Um,
Yeah,
Another question, because we're running a little bit short on time.
yes.
What did judo provide to you in regards to like your sense of empowerment as a female and just in life in general?
I mean, excuse me. Judo is truly like, for me, what Jigoro Kano wanted it to be, a way of life. I designed my whole life around the things that I learned in judo, whether it be the philosophy, the confidence, physically, what it's done for me. I mean, even today, I'm no kid anymore, but I have to say that I feel confident with God forbid anything happened with me physically where I was, God forbid assaulted in some way or grabbed in a bad way, or I still feel like physically I can definitely do some damage, and judo not being such a common sport, not that many people know it, so you could still catch people by surprise. Yeah, I mean the confident judo is a very, as you know, it's a difficult sport and it's a humbling sport. It takes time to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult. Of course, anybody can do it, but it's difficult. The movements are sometimes very difficult. So when you accomplish learning them, and at any level, it gives you a feeling of being able to accomplish greater things because judo is so difficult, and going to the level of judo that I took it to, that we took it to, gives you even more confidence because it's like, wow, this is great. I took a sport like this that's, you know, um, taking it to that level, which at that level can get very grueling, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
be grueling, very tough. It's a physical chess game, it's a thinking sport. So all of that put together makes you feel like a very complete person, and it gives you a great level of confidence, which it's given me. And I always tell young children when I'm teaching them, I always ask them if anybody plays chess. And whoever does, I tell them to continue to play chess. And whoever has not played chess, I tell them start playing because it's just like judo. It's a physical chess game. I think a lot of people don't realize that, especially non-judokas. They have no idea the thinking that goes into it, and it's really split-second thinking. That's why our training is so important because it's instant,
Yeah.
and it has to be repetitive. So this way, our mind and body, the thinking, could just act quickly and respond quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an interesting sport, and you just our it's our eyes can't, like, you can't see things. It's all by touch,
Yeah.
so it's really what we feel. That's why our grips are so important. And so it's our sense of touch that goes to our brain, because it's really not, you can't see things coming. You could feel them coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's our sense of touch that goes to the brain first.
Yeah, that
And then
critical
our
thinking.
brain,
Yeah, that
yes,
gets you in
yes,
tune with all your senses. And I will say
exactly.
one random thing is it creates a really interesting human being. I really
Yes.
have, I mean, and that's again a generalization because I've met some really like vanilla, just boring human beings in the sport. But at least I will say like the generation of people that I was around in the late 90s at 16, just sitting back going like, oh my gosh, these people are like the most intelligent, interesting, hilarious.
Yes. Yes.
It's we're just it's a really rare breed of human being. But I think that that critical thinking kind of and having your body connected head to toe really blooms your internal development. It's a really a hard thing to
Definitely.
explain unless you're in it, you know.
Yes. And to
Um,
have all of this interacting, and yes, judokas have a great sense of humor, and they're fun.
yeah,
They're fun people. I know traveling with my team, oh my God, simple things would be so much fun. These long, dragged out, boring plane rides together would be hilarious.
yes,
Hilarious.
yeah.
you
I want to
just
thank you very, very much, and I thank every single female judoka who has
uh,
made me laugh till my stomach hurts, who has pushed
thank
me
you.
harder on the mat every time, who's had my back in Europe when somebody was fighting dirty and slammed my head into a wall. Thank you, thank you, thank you to every female judoka who's out there who has inspired and pioneered. And thank you,
Yes.
Eve.
Oh, thank you, Lauren. Thank you so much. This is wonderful, and I really I want to see more of you and more of this whole
Okay,
thing. I think it's great. I think it's
thank
great.
you.
So nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you
High
too.
five.
High five, Olympian high five.
All right. See you soon, hopefully.
Yes. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.